raised a lot of money with the shooting.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
We did, for my brother's memorial, we did 5,000, we got donated 5,000 to the court and 5,000 to, the Kidney Foundation.
Whatever, like when people registered to play or to shoot,
Mm-hmm.
half it goes to resort and half of it will go to class. This all goes to the junior class.
Someone sent me an email a couple days ago about the, Little League. It's about those, pictures over there.
There's a lot of money with the shooting. Yes, what it is. We did,
$500 for a,
for a sign.
for one of those banners, get that along the fence or whatever. This is always been like $150.
Did we make a hotel, what, 150 days?
150 and 75 a year.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you like to do a roll call? Thank you.
Mayor Kim Anderson Edwards. All right. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers. Here. Councilman Randy Bowen.
Present.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump. Here. Councilman Herb Curtis.
Here.
City Manager Nate Stansberry.
Present.
City Attorney Brian Bailey.
Excuse.
Financial Director Susie Johnston.
Here.
Chief Josh Thomas.
Here.
Chief Jimmy Settle.
Here.
Building Code Zoning Enforcement Officer Andy Darby.
Here.
Street Commissioner Mike Starrett.
Here.
And Sanitary Board Director Dee Evans.
Excuse.
Oh, that's me. Okay. Sorry. Okay, now we're at the public comment portion. And I know, first of all, I'd like to thank our guests for coming. It's always nice to have people come and see what we're doing and also provide input. We always welcome that. So, and would you like to?
I'd just like to speak. I know I addressed before the committee, the community meeting we had. Just one, I know that you guys are not making a decision tonight about the funding that you received from the federal government for the COVID money. I just wanted to address that we definitely need to look at investing some of that money in towards our police department, our fire department, our street department. And like, that helps provide for the communities in a safe environment. Having law enforcement present in our communities, to having our first responders taken care of. That's with the fire department and our street department with providing our streets clean, and move snow and have the equipment they need at the street department to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to the. Okay, Dave, go ahead.
I was looking for an agenda. That's what I was looking for.
Oh,
Right behind you on the table. Will you just get extra?
Okay.
okay, so are we ready to move on to the July 4th celebration? Hey, Jimmy? You here? All right, we'll take it from here. Explain what we're doing. You want to do it together?
I went at last meeting, I missed the last
I know.
meeting.
We just did details. My apologies.
Okay, we haven't called the meeting to order yet.
Sure.
Did you?
Yeah, we're already done.
Did you? Oh, okay, good.
Okay, you need an agenda.
Here's your packet.
I can tell
Thank
we
you.
had, nice comments from our constituents, and so we are moving on to old business, and we just are beginning to discuss the July 4th celebration and funding requests. And to recap, the fire department would like to move the festivities for several reasons from the field at the middle school over to, what would you call that space?
We're gonna try to do Water Street and between like the lunatic asylum and set off fireworks there in the yard and have kind of everything on Water Street. Have fun there.
Right, and the idea is a street fair type of thing. The parade will be at 6 o'clock. The street fair will take place between after the parade and the beginning of the fireworks celebration. So the thought process is to get people downtown in our downtown area, also to provide some entertainment for folks on the 4th of July and to have a nice celebration. So it'll work very much like a street fair. We'll have music, entertainment. Debbie's on that committee. I think anyone from the city is invited and encouraged to participate on that committee. Becky Young from the Weston Democrats. There are several people that attend. We've only had 2 meetings, but
How do you find out about the meetings?
Yes, when's your next meeting?
well, we'll put it on Facebook. How's that?
I don't have Facebook.
And we'll send an email. And we'll put it in the newspaper. How's that?
Okay.
The Weston Democrat. Thank you, Nate. So basically what we're here for is the funding request is for the celebration. That's where you come in, the firework display. And I think we had discussed the firework display in the past and the cost of it. And in the past, the city of Weston did fund that.
Well, in the last regular session, I think
Years
we
ago.
discussed that it's kind of, in a sense, a burden to the fire department. I mean, because a couple of years ago, we didn't even have the fireworks, so, because they was having a hard time raising the money, and I think Larry Haddix from H&M donates as well for that, but it's just something the city has always taken care of in the past, and it's for the public, you know, it's something to kind of give back to the public. They look forward to once a year. That's why, on my behalf, I thought that we should take care of that.
I mean, it's anywhere, the fireworks usually anywhere from 5 to 10 grand, but we would try to raise. Well, I think last year's show was a $5,000 show.
So what you recommend?
Yeah, I
5
mean,
or
it's-
7 or?
Yeah, between 5 and 10, whatever. I mean, 5's a decent show too, it's about 30 minutes.
If money is contributed from the city, would you guys still try to fundraise a little bit and increase the works of the show?
We're still, we're still trying to get donations and stuff. We're like H&M always is a big donor of that, so.
Any proceeds from the street fair as well, because we're gonna charge to save a spot. Of course, we're gonna charge for space. We've got $10. I know it's not much, but if someone pays their $10 in their fee, they're more likely to show up rather than not show up. So,
And you guys are applying for a culture and history grant too, right?
Yeah.
The 1188 that we-
Something, I can't remember exactly how much it is. It's very investment grant, I think. $2,500 I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no kidding.
And that's not a match or anything.
No, it's-
no, no. So I think the committee did come up with a number, didn't they?
I wasn't there till last
Oh,
week.
okay.
so I don't know. I think we pretty much got everything cleared to set the fireworks off in the field. Kind of like on the other side of the walk bridge. The fire marshal will be here next Monday just to double check everything. He kind of takes our word for it and it's pretty good to us. So.
But also they do need to get their order in
Right.
for the fireworks because that fortunately is something that is difficult to get. You know, some items are difficult to get now and that we want to make sure that it gets here.
The fireworks have to be ordered by middle of April.
Yes, so we should make a decision tonight.
What's our number? Somebody pick a number.
Well, I was wondering, I was going to ask you if
I
5,000
think it
is,
sounds reasonable.
okay.
We didn't have this budget, but we're gonna need to do a budget revision here in April anyway, so we'll just stick that in there at that point.
I was gonna ask for 7,500.
Well-
Uh-huh.
If you'd like to make a motion. Sherry.
Okay. Okay. Anybody, and then discuss it?
If you'd like to make a motion to fund the 4th of July festivities in the amount of
I
$7,500.
thought we put assistant funding because we are still taking donations for that. Would that be better?
Okay, yes, I will move that to fund the, celebrate, assist in the funding, sorry, that was stumbling, assist in the funding of the 4th of July celebration, which includes fireworks, in the amount of 7,500.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
My only thought with it is, what if you made it like a matching grant? So whatever donations they raise, you'd match up to 7,500. Do you think that would encourage people to donate more? to have a bigger
I
show.
didn't see Ray was.
Maybe we're just gonna have enough time. I don't think to have, you know, what I mean,
Okay.
we can use it for next year.
Yeah, that's what I thought, you
Put
could
it-
just put extra up for the fireworks.
If
fund.
we
I
get
think
more,
that's what
we just say, put it in a
discussed.
separate fund just for
Do they
fireworks.
donate the money to the VFD? It'd be easier for you guys to.
We
Scroll away.
have whatever's easiest. I think we've already got.
It's up to you.
fireworks
It's just a
set up.
thought. I should share that before we motion.
It's,
Sorry.
no, it's a good thought though, and next year we should start earlier.
Okay.
Because since they have to be ordered so early.
It could be a supply.
Any other discussion? Voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
Yes,
Councilman Randy Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump,
Yes.
Councilman Herb Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next.
I met with Dee Evans today, to follow up on the Mountain State Waste property discussion. I walked over my first day into her, as I'm getting cold feet, and I think through that discussion, she shared that, I think some council had reached out to her and had kind of the same impression that maybe this wasn't the right time for us to move forward on a building. I'm fine with that. I mean, I think we all, when we discussed this earlier, it was like a nice to have and maybe not necessarily need to have at some point. And so, I guess, yeah, I put discussion and there's no action on it, but I'm at this point going to I'm moving to let JP know that we're no longer interested unless council wants to stop me from doing that, I guess, or protest that action.
Thoughts?
if it came at a different time.
Yeah, and then after we got through the budget, it's like, there are things we'd rather spend our money on at this point. Spoke with Dee today, I think at some point, there's a hope that maybe we could consolidate and make room for them here again in the city building as we can improve this structure and keep it up. So, and she's very positive towards that. So we'll see how that ends up, but not next year, probably the year after, right? But something that we can move towards there, and they were fine in their current place to live in.
Once our budget's at 5 million
Huh?
a year, once our budget's at 5 million a year.
Discussion of 218 Ford Avenue and demolition cost.
I think council requested to discuss this some more. Not a whole lot has changed in the sense of the status of the property. We did reach out to the property owner. We had them served by a professional server to get that document in their hands. We haven't had any kind of further feedback. We've called multiple times. We've spoke to some contractors. Everybody is 30, 40 days out to be able to show up and do this kind of work. The building hasn't moved since we've had the last discussion. We've also followed up with a tree person, and we've gotten some quotations on that tree. And again, multiple weeks, they're gonna try to slide it in on the weekend. So we'll move forward to try to get the property prepped as fast as we can and get that thing down as quickly as we possibly can. But and did you bring your costs today? We got the tipping fees in from.
Oh, from the other costs,
Yeah,
I don't
from-
have it on me.
Okay.
They were right around $40,000 for the first 3 houses.
Yeah, and that was just the dump fees. So, we're. All right, what's our total there?
I don't know what the total, but 270 was $9,800. 140 Mulberry Street was 11,800. And 251 South Main was 12,400, and 241 South Main was 14,361.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have some conversations with them to see if that seems reasonable. It seems kind of astronomical to me, but,
I could have made more copies.
We get no pay.
I
We
did-
get no pay.
so, I mean, at that point, I mean, we're over our budget. We had 60,000 for the year, so we're 80,000 plus with the tipping fees paid for. And we, just to kind of give you a refresher here, we decided to break those out from the contractor because you don't know what the weight is, right? So you kind of didn't want this, we're trying to keep the contractors from speculating on the work in the sense of driving the price up because they didn't know what the weight would be. And so now we know, I guess. And a lot of that is the dump fees are double for asbestos. And so since it's a burn structure, they treat it completely as asbestos.
This is not a burn structure though, however, right?
This isn't, no, but I mean, we're over our budget before we've gotten down this year.
Well, we are.
Yeah, and we'll look at it and see if we can kind of try to squeeze it in and do some few revisions, but I don't know, it's,
Squeeze in 218?
yeah.
Oh, prices are only going to go up.
Well, yeah, we've done good to take it down, so it's gotta
Okay.
come down immediately, so we just have to. I don't know where we got it, the rainy day fund
Schedule
or
it.
the,
We have $995 in the rainy day fund.
what about the 200,000-300,000 you're talking about at the
From
last meeting? When we was talking about purchasing the trash company.
the building, I mean, that'd be something that had to come out of the general fund, right? We'd have to
Yeah.
reprioritize our funds and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, yeah, rainy day, we got $995.
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Something gets
we
cut.
gotta go that route. It was more important than the trash company building anyway, so if we want to do it for it, we just need to get it down,
Yeah, we do.
immediately.
Schedule it.
We'll keep doing the legal process we're in, and try to get that down as quickly as we can.
Wow, he looks different.
Nice haircut. Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna take that long, you can go ahead and, I would think, schedule with contractors while you're working on other things. Because by the time you're done with paperwork. And another question that I had for Brian was, if something is an imminent danger, can the city be faulted for just taking it down?
I think that's the argument from the beginning, right, is what is an imminent danger? And
Well,
Brian,
I think that, I mean, I was watching a Netflix show and and it was documentary, and other municipalities, they start fining people $1,000 a day and they will take their property. If you look at it throughout USA, throughout America, that's happening. So, I mean, well, I'm just wondering why we can't do something like that. And these properties aren't really a danger at all. And they're just messy.
But the guys that they signed, was it brothers or something, 3 of them, but
we walked down this path where the listed owner's been dead or deceased for 3 years now. We called their state attorney in Maryland. He wasn't aware of this property. And so it's kind of in this place, and the state has taken it, right, for taxes. Nobody's paid the taxes in multiple years. So at this point, the ownership's, technically, I think he still owns it, but he's dead, right? The estate owns it, but there's no estate opened in West Virginia. The brothers have no interest in opening up an estate in West Virginia to deal with the property. So it's really like
so it may make it all
legal
become more
quagmire.
simple.
well,
It does become simple. We just take
I'm
the
not saying
house
at this
down
point, but
Yeah.
I'm saying
because
in the near future.
they're not
yeah.
interested. There's no one in the family that's interested in that property.
Well,
At this
at
point-
this moment,
well, it's a liability, right?
yeah,
And so that's like for us, I mean, if we were trying to work with them, right, to get the taxes paid or whatever, to get that property worked out. It's gonna cost them money now, so I think they're backing away from that. And so, but you know, we clean it up, we put a lien on the property, somebody buys it for back taxes, we'll lose any kind of claim we have to those, you know, recovery fees. Which, you know, we're willing to go down that road, and just think we have to do it with our eyes wide open and understand what we're doing there, right? But I think the attorney's opinion has been that we still have to give them notice. And we've argued about it back and forth, but I'm gonna go with him on that and say, you know, we've served them and we're gonna try to make contact. We sent them also in there a form where they could waive their right to appeal in a 20-day period. And so we'll see if we can get that from them, but yeah, we'll work on the side as we're trying to get the contractors and stuff like that. But we've also got to make sure our budget works for that kind of works as well, so. Bear with it, okay?
So we can go ahead and schedule. Because if they're 40 days out anyways, and you're giving the family 20 days.
Yeah, we'll try to do that, I think. Yeah, I guess we're not gonna bid it, we can see quotations or whatnot there to get the house down, but we'll work on that.
And I asked before, you know, on the Columbia Club demolition, have you spoken to those people about, they're already gonna be set up at the Columbia Club, to take that down. What extra cost would it be? to
Yeah,
do
we
that?
filled that contractor, which we're gonna talk about later, which probably won't be our contractor anymore, but they had reticence to even get involved after they heard the discussion that council had, because they understood the law and they said, we're not sure we want to even be involved in a process like that. So
The discussion with, what
you
discussion?
guys voting to tear the house down, because that's not legally how this works. And so they said, our lawyers won't even let us touch something like that, because there's gonna be
Oh, the
potential
house over
blowback.
there?
Yeah, because I mean, you run into constitutional questions, right, where you trespass in somebody's property without proper legal notice. So that was their response when we asked them. And they also said, well, it'll be months before we can get down here, and that's one reason we're talking about Columbia Club again tonight, is because they made that clear to us as well. Okay. But we've reached out to multiple contractors, but
I just don't want to be held up from the budget, because I know, I mean, we've done voted, we consider, if not, that we're licensed to make a call imminent danger. We still voted it, that it was we feel it was unsafe from the pictures and from the complaints that come into us, and have done voted, to tear it down, so.
sure.
The money's there, and I just don't want it held up. I
Yeah.
want to put that on the record that I do not want it held up over money.
And I don't think that's what's holding us up necessarily at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's contractor access, right? Some people want to come from the back, and that's how they feel comfortable with it, but the trees are in the way, right? So the trees have to come down first.
Gotcha.
And so that's what we're working on, is trying to, we've talked to people, I've given the go-ahead to a contract, or the tree removal guy, got the best price we could, and we could get there the soonest.
Oh, good, so that's already scheduled, right?
Yeah. We're dealing with contractors.
What's already scheduled?
Tree removal.
Okay.
I think that was $3,000 or $2,500 or something like that.
Okay, ARPA funding discussion.
Well, I thought we probably needed to kind of follow up on our conversation from the public meeting. I threw in the back of your packet, I had done some musings a couple months ago and kind of broke out some things, projects that I had in mind at the time. But I think, these discussions, maybe these things will probably come off of this list, but honestly, from you all, I just kind of want to, the way I'm approaching ARPA is that if we've got 3 years or 2.5 years or whatever it is now at this point, and our amount of money, if we phase that right, basically spread it across the 3 years, will keep us from having to get audited via that federal process, from my understanding. And I'm trying to avoid that. I think it's an unnecessary expense for us. So I think, something like, if you want to spend money on street paving, you can jump out, right, and we can talk to our contractor and try to get streets paved. And that's something you can do very quickly, in a sense, right? You've got that, and you pull that trigger. If you're trying to establish broadband or do anything like that, right, those are not tell contractors to go pay kind of projects. Those are things that take time and preparation. So I'm just approaching you all to say, this is my list that kind of shows you the money that, and like I said, the projects don't even matter at this point to me. This is just kind of how I segregated the money and say, what do you want to fit in there? I just wanted to be a discussion piece for you. Now I've shared with you my thoughts. I think street paving is good. And I think that taking care of certain things, tearing down houses is good. But I also think it's once in a lifetime that you get a big pot of money to do something with, or there's not really a whole lot of restrictions on it. And in that case, we pay for roads, and 10 years from now, the roads will be dead, and we'll have to pay them again. So this is a real opportunity to say, what can we invest in our community in a way that maybe has benefits past just making our ride homes a little bit smoother. And sorry, I'm kind of beating on the streets there. I don't really intend to do that, but so some of these things are things I've heard, and I think, Mayor, I'm sorry I left out your business incubator. It's something that can go back in there, right? But, and from my perspective, in the year and a half I've been here, if you would have asked me to make this list a year and a half ago, this wouldn't have been it. And I really think what we have as a city that we've got to find some way to reverse is, how do we make our community attractive for people not only to stay here, right, but to live here? And I think that root cause of that a lot of times comes back to housing. From my experience, and most of our housing go through a comprehensive plan. I think 60 or 70%, some kind of outrageous number, is 1935 and older in our housing stock. And so I don't know the solution to that, but I think that if we can get people to live here, we have more people to shop, We have more people paying fees, we have more people paying taxes. Those are the kinds of things that, we've got a people problem. Our populations can continue to decline. And so I don't know the solution. I think that's why this is here, but through all that, I think there's that vein of thought is like, what can we do to get more people in Weston, living in Weston, and making this their home or the place of business or whatnot, right? So, and just in those cursory conversations with EDA folks, and why don't we have a huge factory move in here, Sherry? Workforce, right? They'll say you don't have enough people, you don't have the right skills, all that stuff. And so, the pipe dream of having a big factory in Weston, it's probably not gonna happen because they'll do a quick assessment of our population, so you don't have a population to sustain that kind of enterprise.
And a room.
And every,
Yeah, you need to make room. Everything's old and taking up all the room.
so
And
that's,
then we put cemeteries and flat land.
And not to stop you, but that's what I was thinking as you're talking
Prime
about, Nate,
real estate.
about the trash company, Philly. I was thinking of that and I thought, with this money, once in a lifetime, I would think and see that we do things that in the future, if we're sitting in front of Walmart or someone for annexation, we could say, we did this or we invested in this. You tell them you went and purchased a building, not being a smart aleck, but they're gonna be
I'm right
like,
there with you.
so what?
Right there with you.
So, yeah, I agree with that.
Well, they're also gonna look at how we maintain what we have.
Yeah,
So, I mean, how many square miles is this city? Huh?
I think they're 13 miles of road,
22?
2.5 mile
Oh,
radius.
you're talking about all the roads and stuff? I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about from one side to the other, it's only 2.2 miles.
You guys looking at that, it's about 2.5.
There's something, I don't know exactly what it is, that we could have. Square miles and stuff.
Google has it, I think we're around that 2.5 or
I
something.
thought it was like 2.5 mile radius or something like that. I heard
We
one
should
time.
be able to pave our streets and maintain them. I know we're really behind because it hasn't been done.
1.992.
Huh?
It says, according to Google, our area is 1.992.
And 13 miles of streets,
I'd say we got a little bit, I think we're closer to 30. We need
30 miles of
Yeah.
streets, really?
Yeah, I think so. I counted them up on GIS at one time. I think that's what that was.
Get off the state roads.
Well, I think that was taking those, yeah. And it may have been lane miles. Maybe it was closer to 15 actual miles and I was doing lane miles, but.
Well,
I
that's
don't
my
know.
point. I mean, we
You
should
may
be
be doing air
able
miles.
to, we should be able to keep our streets paved, patched, cleared, maintained, and then when we approach someone for annexation, we're gonna look at how we maintain what we have. That's the first thing they're gonna look at. And what can we provide to them?
We still have stickers on windows.
All upstairs are everywhere.
It's pretty bad.
So anyhow, we don't have, like I said, we don't have to make any decisions tonight. In the budget going up to it, I didn't include any kind of ARPA funds for anything, and I'll be very blunt with you with the budget. I tried to be aggressive with the revenues. I tried to, with inflation being 5% this year or whatnot, or 10% actual, all that stuff we're finding out the other day. I tried to give everybody, everybody in the city, I gave $1,500 to try to offset that a little bit, and that's something that's up for discussion, but I just tell you, I gave that to, except for police, since they had just got the raise. And so when all that came out, I mean, we're essentially, there's not a whole lot left, right? I got what you have in front of you. I haven't proofread it. I haven't gone through with the fine tooth comb to make sure all my cells are adding up right, but I did get it to balance this afternoon. And you can take a look at that and we can discuss it in a second, but it's just our revenues are as much as they've ever been. And, we've got healthy money. We've got 100,000 in there to pave roads. We've got, enough salt and plow roads. I think we're doing pretty well on equipment. We've made some more investments in equipment going into the next year. So that's our baseline budget, right? We take we've got a new fire engine in there. That's part of that payment's been put in there. Pending discussion tonight.
Yeah, fire truck. I spoke with Patrick Martin.
Okay.
And he has some funding available. And I spoke with him particularly about the need for a fire truck. I've looked and looked for grants for a fire truck. I mean,
Difficult.
it is.
Yeah.
USDA will pay for police vehicles and equipment, but not
Not fair.
fire. It's weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, Patrick Martin, I would recommend that you would ask,
Yeah, so,
approach Patrick for
I've already
200,000.
I'll talk to him.
Did you? Okay,
He's gonna get with me. He's actually supposed to be over tomorrow. So
looks promising too, doesn't it?
he don't have a lot. I don't know if I told you he had.
He didn't tell me. And I'm gonna reach for the stars. Okay,
Yeah, it's called what you said.
it's not, I told you I asked for 200,000.
So
Not
Probably
gonna
in a quarter of that.
Really? Well, that's,
I mean, it's better than nothing for sure.
yeah, sure is. I'm grateful.
Yeah, so,
And you know what? Had you had
Right.
$1 million and, me asked for
He reached
25,
out to us
I said, huh?
That, this one money he's got now, we've been waiting this for 2 years.
Really?
That he's getting this next year.
Oh, the one that he's giving next week.
Yeah, there's all 6 departments applied for that a year and a half ago.
So the fire truck, is that coming out of our budget here?
it's budgeted as an expense, yeah, and I guess I'm skipping putting the cart before the horse here, but we've got a financing plan from Country Roads Leasing to finance it, because I think that's the best rate, and the only person who can necessarily find to finance it. So that payment that we've budgeted in there is in there for that new engine payment. And I think also the payment for the existing engine that we're paying off, that we've got 3 more years for. And that's a conversation we thought we could have too, do we want to try to pay that thing off early and save ourselves down the road? But it's in here, that engine is in here, and I think it's 50.
What is it?
44,000.
That's the down
That's the payment, your annual payment.
annual payment.
Yeah, we pay 27,000 right now on the ladder truck.
Yeah.
We got 2.5 years left on that. It was $71,000 on the ladder truck.
So what is the ladder truck payment?
27,000.
And this one's gonna be 44.
44. Yeah.
Ooh,
Like 45, what I got written down, Jimmy.
The county paid 3 years of ladder truck, and we got a FEMA grant for the ladder truck. So the FEMA grant paid $39,000 for the ladder truck.
are we eligible for FEMA grant?
They just closed, but yeah, it's hard to get equipment right now with the COVID stuff. It's hard to get trucks and stuff. It's all in person protected equipment.
So we can't apply for it
It won't open up till next.
in the side with same payments.
I don't think, I'm sorry, something already got. So like this year, we applied for new CBAs and stuff for the guys, so everybody has their own face piece and stuff.
Oh, through the FEMA grant, so you already
Yeah.
applied for something. Okay, okay.
So, okay, so that's put a kind of ribbon on the budget discussion, or just get us through the first discussion.
Sure.
I don't know how we want to move forward. Like I said, this thing balances, what we're trying to set right now is a municipal levy. If we want to, I'm fine having another meeting, and it probably is warranted to have another meeting discuss. I don't even have the levy put together from these numbers to make sure it all balances on that side yet, so. But just realize, I mean, I think, and I've been, from our departmental standpoint, I've been telling everybody, none of this is set in stone at this point. We're just setting the tax rate and showing that we have a justification for it, essentially is what we're doing through this process. When it comes to July 1, when we have our final general fund balance, that's when we'll sit down and readjust the budget, and this will take this as a starting point and try to figure things out. But like I said, nothing really has dramatically changed. We've got a few pieces of equipment in there. We budgeted for the police. Let's just walk through there. I think I guess.
What
Be helpful.
what exactly, which page are you on? 'Cause
Right now I'm on the cover.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I already went through. I'm ahead of you.
So just-
I already went,
yeah.
I thought we already discussed the revenues.
Yeah, and we did at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I tweaked that a little bit. So just to give you, if you look at it and say, what, that's when we got Nate's playing games. You get to the end and it was like, I was off by $10,000, right? So I took that unassigned fund balance because it's a number that I have no idea what it's going to be. And I just made it fit so that I could balance my budget. And if you want to blame me, Susie was there when I did it, so she shares partial blame for that.
I have to admit, though, he has worked long and hard.
Yeah, we've been working a lot on it. But so that's what happened. Like I said, last year, I'm more aggressive this year. So I think, and then when I say that, I'm projecting we're gonna have more cash on hand than I projected last year. This number's still under what we had on hand last year. We've got some big projects coming up, paving and stuff in the spring. Our general fund is gonna take a dent from that, which it should. But, yesterday when I paid payroll, we had 1.3 million just over in our fund. So with sales tax and things coming in, I think we can, it's realistic, huh?
We need to work on an annexation, what we can do.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. Okay, just to familiarize, so then you flip the page, and you know, after the cover, you can see a blank page there. You've got your expenditures, right? So this is the overview of all your expenditures. If anybody wants to get their calculator out and go into the other lines and add all those up, feel free to. You know, I'm using Excel, and hopefully I've got my cells selected the right way. And I'll go through that myself.
I have a question.
Sure.
Main Street program, is that my beautification budget?
Yeah, and what, it looks like I zeroed you out for this year in this
You
line.
did.
There's a beautification line. So like, I just took the beautification dollars and stuck them in the beautification line. This is like Main Street program, like for facade and stuff. And I know there's a grant out there pending from
There is.
Dana. So at this point, in this juncture, I just said, we're not gonna budget anything for that, but because we don't know what we're gonna have. But I put the beautification dollars under beautification to make it cleaner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so how much do I have for beautification?
15,000 again.
15,000?
Yeah.
So I have a question.
That's your budget, Sherry.
I know,
You gotta keep up with it.
Yes.
I know,
You have to
right?
write it all
Because
down.
I go up, over. But in my defense, I didn't realize some of the things were coming out of it. So.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
I,
like some of them, a lot of one-time.
That was
purchases.
intended.
Yeah, this year we bought the sign across from the parking lot, the new sign. We bought the new recycling center sign that's gonna be installed later.
right, and they are beautiful.
Yeah, and they're gonna be one-time expenditures, right?
Right,
So,
exactly. And the bridge lighting
low,
went
yeah.
on, okay, now we have another bridge lighting.
And that's something, a project we can work on out of that fund, if we're okay with that, but.
Thank you.
Or we
for
can-
Considering that.
What?
The other bridge lighting.
The other bridge lighting, I know, I'm gonna try to find a sponsor for that one though, because that bridge lighting is expensive.
Let me
But
just
they
run-
do look so nice. They do.
Each one of these lines, for the most part, unless it's very straightforward, has a detailed budget in the back of this, showing on the expenditure side. not the
Each one of the
revenue
lines you're saying has,
side. On the expenditure side, yeah, for the most
okay.
part. There's a
Okay.
couple maybe that are like dues that are just a one payment, and so I might have skipped and not thrown those in there.
streetlights, can you tell me why it's 57,000? Is that just what we're paying
Yeah.
for power?
Every month, well, the way streetlights, like the regular neighborhood streetlights that we're talking
Yeah.
about, there's a flat rate depending on what type of bulb is in there. So sodium chloride bulb has a $7.50
He had that
charge.
discussion with us.
You
Yeah.
did, I remember now.
So they have a count of streetlights. They say they do, and they send us a bill each month and say, you got 400 of these type and $7, and that's how we get that.
Are we prorated for the ones not working?
That's what I was getting ready to say. A quarter of them don't work.
Yeah,
I checked that out and I sent you the information.
yeah, and June sent me what she sent, and they had all confirmation numbers and stuff that we sent them with poll numbers and things like that. So my email crapped out when I was trying to forward it, lost track, but we'll get back on that. But she did send that, yeah. Just to confirm that.
Yeah, because that was a little project.
Okay.
You guys wanted to do
So
it.
everything is pretty much the same. Let's just look down through here.
Sidewalks,
Sidewalks.
yeah, can you explain that to me? Because I see a blank, a dash.
Can I just start at the beginning and work my way to
Yeah.
the expenditures, but point that out when I get there. I'm just gonna start at the beginning, 400 here. Finance with our, I don't know what that jumps to, oh, that's the actual. So, okay, so let me just explain this real quick for you. And it's not perfect at this point, but where I had the time and I could get my numbers put together and stay on task long enough, I tried to give you 4 columns of numbers, right? So you see your budgeted FY 22, just for reference. You've got a revision number 1, which is the budget we're operating off of right now. Then you've got this FY 22 to 228. So when I looked at our projections and things like that, I drew the line on February 28th and said, this is what we've coded in that account so far this year. And kind of tried to give you a snapshot, right, of where we're at. And some of them make sense, some of them don't make a whole lot of sense, and some of them are wrong because we've coded it in the wrong bucket, and we'll have to get that adjusted as I've been going through this. So we'll figure it out, but it's easy done that. Yeah, that was all Susie. Yeah. So for the most things, for the most part, things have been level funded. So what you kind of want to look at maybe is your revision number 1 column and your FY 23 proposed, because those are looking at whole years, okay? So it makes it kind of confusing out there, but I apologize. So for the most part, we're doing pretty well. You know, finance office came down a little bit because we pulled that one position out that we had budgeted. City clerk is roughly the same. Police judge office, roughly the same. Actually, there was, we'd had a $4,000 charge in there for the court clerk that I think was an error, so I pulled that out. City attorney, roughly the same. There's a little bit increase there. Community development is, I guess, the one that's the big one, that position I'm proposing. So you see nothing that's ever been budgeted for that. That's what I'm proposing for that budget. We can discuss that in a second. if you'd like. Flip back a page there, sir. Keep going. Keep going, keep going. You're way too far ahead, I think.
I was.
It should be on 400.
Oh, is there revenue? Sorry.
Yeah, I already had, I thought I was here.
You're looking at.
Look at that section.
Yeah, that's revision number one. Where's the one we gave you tonight?
I thought
Here's-
this was, here, sorry.
Mhm.
No wonder I was
Found it for us.
lost.
Yes. So yeah, here's where we're at. We're talking down to these ones
Oh,
here. Okay.
no wonder I had so many questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. It always helps you have the right year.
All right. So 421 community development, like I said, that was the whole, that's the director position. That's just one position. I moved into that, gave them a little bit of a basic budget. Regional development skipping down, so there's nothing in those other lines. 435, that's our Region 7 dues, and they've sent us a letter to tell us what they're going to be, so that's accurate. Building inspection, I pulled, so we've only budgeted the one position. Last year we had the official and the assistant. I put a little bit of money in there for a temporary worker for the summer, and what my intention there was to try to hire somebody from college to come in and help us with the rooftop connection, the gutters and stuff like that, and really work on that program this summer. That ask people to disconnect their gutters and things of that nature, and then help out with other tasks in that office. But so that's there, and then I left every money. I tried to bump up the budget. I think it was $5,000 or $10,000 for tear downs. So I think we're up to 70 at this point. City Hall, we need to talk about that one. So earmark that, but it's just probably more accurate reporting from my standpoint this time. Not really anything that grew too much. Transfers and reimbursements. That 50,000 is the rainy day fund. So this year we had budgeted 150,000 within the rainy day fund. We haven't transferred anything yet. That's something just from that perspective. I'm kind of waiting to the end of the year to look and see what was projected, and then I'll tee something up for you guys and see if you'll take it, so we can put that money away for next year. But I've reduced that budgeted amount that we're going to transfer the rainy day to 50,000 next year. So I think that speaks to how tight we're kind of running and aggressive we're being here. Okay. Well, last year we were a lot more conservative.
Let me run back
Sure.
up. That community development
Sure.
housing 59,910, what was that again?
That's the, we're talking about having a grant writer and the assistant finance director, that position that we talked about a couple meetings back, and then I put it in the regular session last meeting. That's their budget, essentially, that position.
So what's the total salary? 40,000?
40,000, yeah.
19 in benefits?
Yeah, I mean, you can flip over if you want to look at it real quick. And I didn't get a chance to go through it real well with a real fine comb, but yeah, you've got 40,000 for the salary. Yeah, and like PEIA, I assumed that there were going to be a smoker and all that good stuff. So the most expensive plan to start the budget and have the money if we did it. So that's $13,000 just for that, or our side of the contribution. Another $3,600 for your insurance or your retirement. And that actually, those numbers aren't even in that number. So then I had, and that number needs to be adjusted. Now I'm looking at this because I copied and pasted the city attorney's budget to give me the right lines, and I've got legal fees and stuff in there. So that'll come down quite a bit. So I've got $12,000 in legal fees there that need to be taken out. Or if you caught me already. That's
All
good.
right, that's
No,
good
that's
thing.
good. Yeah. So, there's not gonna be outside of the person, there's not gonna be a whole lot of fees, maybe giving them $1,000 for office supplies and stuff like that. We'll have to probably get them a workstation and things of that, but I'll adjust that and get that for you in there, okay? Okay, we'll flip back to my overview site page. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and the other question I had was, under City Hall, We was at 444,000. And raised that 200 and some thousand.
Right, and I think
Why is that?
mainly it has to do with insurance costs. And I think proper accounting of it. And when I did it last year, I was doing the best I could do. Found some mistakes in there, honestly, working through it. And then I've moved everybody's CPRB, and that street department one looks really high. I think there's something wrong there. If you look at that, I gotta look at that. But
what all's covered under city hall?
the main majority of, like, for insurance, we've got $410,000 just to cover health insurance. That's in that
Oh,
city
okay.
hall line. Okay, and that's everybody's, the way health insurance gets paid, we pay that in one big tranche to PIA. So instead of spending our time breaking that down into each department, I just migrated everybody's insurance and that to match that one
And
payment.
that's still 90-10, right?
Yeah, still 90/10.
I mean, at some point, we may have to look with inflation going up and cost of insurance, and we have to go 80-20.
Yeah,
At some
that's, I
point.
mean, that's an option. I
I
think,
mean, you hate to do that, but I mean,
Right.
that's typically, you know.
as an employee,
Okay.
I hope we don't.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
you know what I'm saying,
it's,
so-
everything's on the table
Yeah.
at this point for
Because
consideration.
with the unknown of, you know,
Yeah.
interest rates going up. and-
Well, that's, PIA went 5%. They just took a 5% increase this year. And that's the way I understood it, it's gonna be even more next year, right?
Right.
So it's moving that direction. I think we're trying to schedule a meeting with our employees to talk open enrollments happening in April, May here. One of the things I'm trying to get lined out in the next, 2 or 3 weeks is to figure out how do we encourage people to move to a high deductible plan. And we could, but last year when I did ran the numbers, we could have saved $30,000 as a municipality if everybody was on the plan C and covered them 100% with a high deductible plan. Now, it's not something we can force people to necessarily do, I don't think. But right now, from just my initial conversations with people, we don't even understand what it is. We offer it as a plan because it's in the PIA menu, but we don't have it yet. It's
You can move to a high deductible plan to save that 30,000, and then there's assistant programs out there that we may be able to get the employees into where that if they would do like a health screening and all, then they would get a discount. That would take away from that deductible as well.
and
Yeah,
I
but
even
now you get those screenings for free, like once a year.
in
Um,
PIA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Don't
think
go
there's
there, Herb. We've already told him, don't mess with her.
everybody's afraid when I start
Well, I
talking
mean,
about it.
and it's not the person, it's just business.
Yeah, I was getting ready
And
to say.
and I got that, but I'm saying what Herb said, move it someplace else.
I was thinking 50/50, but
If you want to hire more people, then you gotta look at.
Well, and we looked,
Say,
when I looked at those numbers, if everybody would go to Plan C, I think I had us saving 30,000 by paying 100% of their premium and also giving them half of their deductible. And then they could take the 10% that they were paying and put it in their health savings account. And they would be able to cover their entire deductible. They can't now. Yeah. Is that something we do? I don't know. I think it's a discussion we have, but when you talk to employees, you gotta be able to educate them enough to say, you see this as an advantage to you, right? It's money you didn't have, and we're saving money by doing this for you.
and the health spending account's great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not abnormal. A lot of companies do it.
it's something really, the employees, while they work here, right, they can put money in it, and the health savings account's portable.
Yeah.
So they can take that to another job if they decide to move on. Which I think, I had flexible spending. once
No,
and
and this
lost
is
all money.
my opinion, for younger kids, yes. I think it might be. I
Talking about you,
personally,
Mike.
I'm not for it.
Yeah.
He's already knows.
I've got to do a lot more politicking with Susan. Get her on board.
we're not doing it on this.
Take her out to lunch a couple times,
Stuff right up there. We'll,
That's what school, that's what the
Um,
school is doing.
Good luck.
Whatever. Most people are 80/20.
Very fortunate.
Yeah. I don't think
Oh, I'm
any-
not
any
saying
new
we're not.
employees-
We are
new
very
employees
fortunate.
lost, they don't
But
get
once
sick
you get
time.
used to something, it's hard to get rid of.
And if you don't, I mean, I'll be very honest, as an employee, right, I think the teacher's struck because of this, right, when you make you pay more insurance as a pay cut, in essence, right, and so unless there's some kind
Well,
of trade-off.
We're
there.
80/20 and we don't have any optional, we don't get any option for it now.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, this is what you're paying people today, so if you say, we're gonna move you, make you pay more out of pocket, and nobody gets raised, then you're saying, well, taking home lessons.
Yeah,
I gotta think
that was a loss,
Yeah.
cost of
Take the
living.
raises then, take the raises since clearly we're struggling, the raises for next year.
I don't think we're struggling, okay, and I don't want to paint that picture. It just, I'm being a lot more aggressive with my budget this year than I was last year. And, we're supposed to spend this money every year.
Yeah, we are, but we're also supposed to provide services to
Yeah.
the community,
Yeah.
which, is paving roads and taking down.
But you gotta have people to do that stuff with, right?
I understand that,
Yeah.
and everybody,
I think everybody
we
does.
just gave everybody a raise, and I think everybody got a raise.
Yeah, everybody did.
I know when you asked the public comment session, but in the future, as a new employee come in, you could cut their insurance. They don't do what you want and cut your budget. That's what the state done with a lot of sick time and stuff. They cut their aid. New employees cannot use their sick time to pay for retirement or buy
Right.
insurance after they're done. So after
That's when they do.
91, it's no longer available.
Yeah.
Something to look at, and if they don't get it, they don't have to.
Right.
That's mine. I'm just,
All right.
that way you don't have to deal with it.
You don't like this conversation, do you?
You weren't talking about you.
No, I'm older than she is.
Okay.
Police department, largely level funded. We've got the money in there for the police cruiser, so we can if we get that grant from USDA, we'll have that. And we did get a call from that about this week and got some final numbers for them, so.
That's 2 of them now.
Right, but we budgeted for one, right, because the 55, 45 or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So
I
that's,
gotcha. Okay.
it's something, I think if you ask the chief right now, we could get by a couple of years without having to buy police cruisers. Knock on wood, we don't crash one in pursuit or something like
Never
that,
know.
get ran. But we've got that in there, we don't have to spend the money with budget, right? At the end of the day, you're saying you're gonna spend it, the priorities change, we can hold back, but
Well,
that's,
if we get the grants, there's no reason
yeah, I think
we
you
shouldn't. I mean,
you buy the vehicles.
you
and-
buy the vehicles.
Yeah, but it's there to cover that, okay?
Uh-huh.
Community center, central dispatch, I think that hopefully that will maintain itself at the same level. That's what I proposed. That's our E911 agreement with the county. We pay $3,300 a month to support that operation. Flood control, soil conservation, we pay the conservation authority $44.50 or something a year to take care of the Polk Creek dams. Weston was a part of that genesis of that project. And they actually reimburse us for some of the weeds and stuff we've cut along the bank. So I think last year we were able to get back, well, this year here, we were able to get back like $3,200 or something like
Oh,
that.
that's great.
So to me, it's, budget pays for itself. Fire hydrants, that's the money we pay into American Water just for fire protection. I think they send us $5 or $6 a month for every hydrant in town. We get a bill for that, much like the street lights. So we pay that each month. Streets and highways. So in streets and highways, we've moved Mike in there. We've, Caden has reduced some of the cost there, being a new employee, so that was able to be saved, but we also added enough money for 2 temp positions for the summer.
Yeah, thank you.
And another position at roughly $12.50 an hour, under Mike's request. And I think it's, since I've been here, I see a need for 2 crews of 4 or that ability, because you have absences and things of that nature. So we can discuss that here in a little bit, but I just wanted to get through this and let you know and give you an overview and let you know what you need to throw tomatoes at me about. So, street lights, we talked about that, right? Signs and signals, that's largely the same. So that's money we put away to cover. We've got like $5,000 or $6,000 for replace street signs with. Then I put 5,000 in there. I think if some of these overhead signals get hit, some of that cost is our responsibility from the agreements that I've seen. So we've just got a little bit of money to save our lives. If something happens out there, replace bulbs, stuff like that. Snow removal.
I have a question about
Sure.
that. Why is that not under the streets and highways?
Because it's got its own line in the state accounting, and it's just, to me, it's the
Is
more
it
lines you
because
can have in theory, it's easier to track in my
Okay.
mind.
And also, I wondered if it was because it fluctuates so much in cost. Because let's face it, if we have a winter like what we've just had, the cost is going to be up. But you have a mild winter and it's, maybe that's why it has its own line. I don't know.
I didn't go to budget training school, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure there is one, but when I talked to the auditor's office, they said every municipality does it,
It's
however
okay.
they want to do it, but you want to know where you can find things. And so since these lines were already available,
Sure.
they're like top lines, I said, throw that stuff in there and it's easier to
Okay,
tease out.
okay.
That's
Well, you
why-
can go back to school for this.
That's less anything to do. Snow removal, this year we were way over. I think we budgeted for 7,500 for salt. And we were over 20,000 for the year. And that's one of the reasons we gotta do the budget revision. I tried to eke that up a little bit, but I'm also crossing my fingers that we can do something different.
Good job, though. Our streets were clear.
You did a really good job. And I also stuck a 3,000 in there, I think was for the, we want to try a brine, a liquefied brine, see if we can pre-treat the roads and save some of the salt. So I just got on the internet and you can buy one that's fine, if you got truck for $3,000. And so I just earmarked the money for that.
We used to have that big tank, remember the big tank?
You have one, where's it at?
Not here, but I'm aware of. You haven't seen it, right?
What's that?
We used to have that big tank.
Tank over there.
There used to be a big one.
There used to be.
Yeah.
More?
I have a question. Remember we were talking about keeping our sidewalks clear?
Yeah.
Like out at our entryways and, if you could use it like the bridge here, to the senior center. I mean, we could definitely use something to keep sidewalks clean. Can we budget and factor in, I don't know, my equipment, like a four-wheeler or something with a blade
Yeah.
that fits the sidewalk? Or to have those clean?
I
'Cause
think
that
in
is
this
our
year's budget,
responsibility.
yeah, I think in this year was, we need to have a sidewalk conversation, first of all. We'll do that. We might need to talk about that in the
Huh?
management day.
There would be tower.
It would, but the bridges are our responsibility, and I'm talking about coming into
I
town
know.
between KFC, yes, and that area. So who does that sidewalk? Well, it's within the city of Weston though, so I don't think it's a stretch, and also through Kitsonville by the Narrows. A lot of people use that to walk to work. A lot of people use the one on 33 to walk out to work. I see people walking their Giovanni's and the fast food places all the time with their uniforms on.
I mean, this budget here will be tough too. I mean, we can see if there's some things we can cut and move it in. I don't have a price for it at this point. But, so I'm all for it, maybe that's an ARPA kind of purchase, right?
Okay.
Maybe we do that. And I think from my perspective, sorry, say it again?
I said, who's gonna do it? You got the guys in the trucks, who's gonna do the sidewalk?
Well, I don't think that sidewalk needs done
Throw
as much
somebody out
as,
on it. Fine.
as much as the streets.
Put a chiropractor rider in there too, so when he hits those elevated panels. Yeah. Well, in Vermont, when we did it, we had on big snowfalls, the building inspector jumped in, the sidewalk
Right.
tractor,
Oh, we've
the
done that.
forester, everybody that rode.
But I just wanted to make sure they had the equipment to work with that they need.
We're in a rebuilding, everything we have is old. And so
I know.
we're not gonna be able to replace everything in 1 year, right? So I think we can, from my view, we need a new truck about every 3 years to keep up with the cycle. And so right now, we're behind about 3 cycles. And so we've replaced a couple trucks. We've got another one in here. And then next year, you're looking at being able to not have to buy a truck and you buy some other equipment. But up for debate, right? But that's just my view on it right now and how we make our budget, okay?
Yeah, maybe, I thought that's when you said sidewalks, 5,000, maybe that was it.
No. What? Where are we at here? So we're,
We're up at snow removal.
Snow removal, yeah.
753.
yep, so like I said, that number historically, I didn't get this year's number, I apologize, but we were way up, so
Sure.
it may not, we may have never used salt in the past. So our historic data may just say, we don't use regular salt, we really need to, so we'll look at that, but I tried to eke it up a little bit. Street construction, so I've got, if you look at your breakdown, I have 90,000 in there for paving and then 10,000 for anything else that comes about, which, if we don't spend anything else, then that more on it.
That's all paving, 100,000.
Yeah.
We went over that much, 190,000, where'd it come from?
That was from that's what we budgeted in the last year's budget. So we spent roughly 1,000 last year, or 100,000 last fall, getting those streets paved that we did. this year, for spring, we're gonna try to spend the other 90 roughly. And then, then we'll have another 100 in between fall and spring of next year to pay what we're shooting for.
So why are we only spending 90 instead of 100,000 when we know that it's gonna cost 100,000?
Sorry, say,
So we know it's gonna be 100,000 this year for spring, right? We have 100,000 to pay spring streets.
roughly.
Am I
yeah.
understanding that?
That's what, and that's not this budget, it's the year previous budget.
No, we're not.
Huh?
It's very good because we took 3 houses down.
I do get it.
In Ward 1.
Let me see here. So when I did street construction, so if you flip that slide, I don't have page numbers, so I apologize. So street construction, I have contracted services for this year, 90,000, this FY 23, 90,000. Then I had supplies and materials, 341, 10,000.
Where
So
are you
I
finding
don't
that?
see the 10,000.
I'm all the way back in the back. Right down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, so I put that 10,000 there, so like when we're doing paving prep, sometimes you gotta grind out something, and throw some rock in the hole to get it leveled up for the base to be able to pave it, overlay it. So those kinds of things I want to be able to track in that supplies and materials for street construction. But if we just go through and overlay a bunch of roads and don't have to do a whole lot of prep, we'll take that 10,000 and roll it and have 100,000 for paving. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, and sometimes, we get real bad ruts and you gotta come in, hot mix it before you even do it. If we do that, we'll charge it for that line. Track it that way. Okay? And that's just the paving. So that's how I intended. We've got, I think, 15,000 or something like that in the street department itself for patching. So doing our potholes and things of that nature. So we've just, that 100,000 will just be for, right, checks to contractors, to make streets white.
What's your budget proposed for the street department?
Well, what's your definition of street department, I guess, is the right question to ask. Streets and highways is where I cover all the salaries and their buildings and trucks and stuff of that nature, right? So that budget is 507,045.
That's 750, line item 750,
Yeah.
750.
Yep, 750, thanks, sure.
Works well when I have them on there.
Talking about the same year, right? Signs and signals, is that street department, snow removal, snow removal is covering the salts and some of that stuff. That's, our street department's supposed to spend that. Street construction, that's part of their numbers, that's another 100,000. 756 is street cleaning, and so essentially what I did there is I budgeted enough money to rent a street sweeper twice again, like we did this past year. Not knowing what intentions or what direction we want to have. And then I think if we decide to purchase one or whatnot, we can use that money as the maintenance. And what to buy brushes and oils and do that kind of stuff for our street sweeper. So that's how that would roll. Okay.
So like for Mike, we was talking at the last meeting, overlooking their own budgets.
Yep.
He's gonna have 3 or 4 to put together, line items there, to keep track of his.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's a problem, but
Well, he'll be able to draw from those lines too. And honestly, like storm sewer, so his group's doing a lot of pipe work and things of that nature. There's another storm sewer line that I'm tracking that separately. It's got a budget for it. If he buys pipe and structures and rims and all that stuff, even rock for doing storm sewer, that could be charged to that line. It's not in the street department budget necessarily.
how's the numbers look to you from your experience?
For next year,
Yeah.
I ain't seen it yet. We were supposed to do that today, and I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I threw a copy on your chair. He was the one I didn't get to sit down with, but I mean, it's increased. I think we've every year you got different projects, right? And we got 1 year of data to say this is what our cost should be.
Right.
And so I think I've given them enough money to do some damage and they try to keep up. And just from our projections, some things we overspend a little bit, like materials and stuff like you get to. So street department, you go down through here. Materials and supplies, so like 341, we've spent $18,000 so far.
In what, materials and supplies?
Yeah, this year, and we only had in the breakdown, 16,000.
Why
So,
did we spend that? For what department?
street department.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
that. Well, everything was broken over there.
Well, and
They needed it.
I don't know how. In a perfect world, they'd had a budget and they'd been watching a little bit closer, right? But in practice, I knew we had a comfortable cushion this year. And I kind of want to say, guys, go out there and do the best work you can do. And they weren't out there buying Cadillacs to patch holes with,
Sure.
right? But buy the rock you need.
Right.
Buy the cold patch you need to get this done. I'm more worried about that. And then help us establish some real numbers where we're not,
Sure.
we don't need $100 this year. Well, because we use building twine to tie everything together, right?
I
I don't
know.
want that. I wanted to try to turn the spigot open a little bit and see what those costs really would look like. Yeah. And they've done a good job.
I was gonna ask that. How did they do? How they,
We're not seeing the budget there. They're doing pretty well, you
Uh-huh.
know? And in last year's budget, we had 125,000 for capital outlay equipment. Okay, so we had 45,000 for a replacement one-ton dump truck, 25,000 for a curbing machine, and 55,000 for a replacement paving machine. And if you've been paying attention, you know we haven't bought either of those two last items, right?
right,
And so we've overspent in supplies and materials. One of those pieces of equipment, unless we find it used and save it, is probably not getting bought this year. And I'm okay with that, right? We put that on there as place markers and
well, we didn't, I don't think we budgeted for that truck, did we?
Yes, it was.
That they needed.
Yeah, the-
Was
On
it?
this one?
Yeah, the
The
one,
one
last
we
one
just
that,
bought?
yeah.
No.
well, we didn't buy a new one ton, but we fixed the 550 and put that switchable bed on it for
Sure.
30 or was it 28,000. And we bought this used truck for 10,000.
Out of the same money that we were doing.
Well, I don't think that they've been frivolous at all. I think that, and I think that it really does show with the services that they're providing to our community. I mean, I've heard, and please relay that I've heard very positive things from our community about the snow removal and the street department, and people are very pleased.
Good job.
Good job,
I haven't done it all.
good job.
I give the guys credit.
And so like this year, if you're going at street department budget, the breakdown, I guess a couple other things I'll mention. I put in a replacement salt shed, 15,000, Mike. I don't know if that gets us close or not.
What's that?
For replacement salt shed, I put 15,000 in there as a earmarker.
Yeah, I think,
We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. That might be a little too much, but we'll.
And then I put 15,000 for improvements in the old wastewater treatment plant. So we've been working on that old plant and they've got a building there. Mike's been cleaning it up with the guys. And so they're gonna store their salt equipment down there.
Where's that at? On Fort Ranch down there?
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
down
okay.
there. We're gonna- we're
Does
gonna
the
try.
cemetery board still have some old records in there that they need to move down to the new plant?
I don't know about records, but they do have some metal and some pumps and a lot of old stuff in there that I don't know if they're using or whatever. But within the next week or so, they're going, well, since we come across this with a state road now, I don't know if it's gonna happen in the next couple of weeks,
Yeah.
but there is a lot of stuff in there, but I'm trying to put my snow plows in, my spreaders and stuff, get them out of the weather, get them off that porch over, there, give me a little bit more room, take my pipe down there, and hopefully we can take our salt down there. We just don't have no room.
Go ahead and tell them to get that stuff out of there if you don't mind.
So I don't know what the improvements are gonna be. We've talked about building wings on that building so we can get other stuff out of the weather. And I think that as we buy more equipment, there's no sense of buying new equipment and sit out in the weather. So we've got a little bit of money to invest in the place. Yeah, new fences, whatever we gotta do, that's just call it improvements, okay? Yeah, I think that's really all I have to offer on that stuff.
So back here on the
Guessing a little bit
Main
about
Street
Mike.
program, there's only 13. Oh, you added 4,000 more, right?
Sorry,
Okay, I understand.
where you at here?
At the Main Street program, page 4 of 6.
Yeah. Let's pay attention to this.
And-
What number, what account number are you looking at?
Account number 419. 419. The fraud improvement program says 240 and 341 beautification supplies, but, so I'm looking at budgeted
So that's,
22.
you're looking
and
at,
then
that's what we spent.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at fiscal year 22
That's
as
not-
of 228, and
Yeah.
then the proposed is blank.
Right, and that's why I said I got rid of I didn't put anything in facade improvement. All your beautification supplies, I moved to a beautification line back in the back.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay,
And I'll tell you
just like
what.
that, it's gone.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna catch it. I was like, I must stuck here. You see where I stuck that? Well, maybe I didn't stick it. I didn't give you a line in my breakdown. Let's look here. On the overview.
Yeah,
you're gonna find
I looked,
that-
I found it on the overview over
Yeah,
there,
and I just didn't.
but I
have-
didn't see it back. there.
Yeah, I forgot to add it there.
Okay,
It's in there. So when we pass the levy, what we're sending them is the overview. Just
oh,
so you guys
okay,
understand, they don't
Okay.
see all the rest of this
All
stuff.
right.
We just send them these top line numbers and so
okay.
that's really, that's what matters. Yeah, when we've got in Jimmy's lines, I'd sent them, what was it, 430 I had you budgeted for, and actually, yeah, they got was 460. So if they bring me to court, they're gonna say, Mr. Stansberry, the actual budget's 430,000.
I've seen 225.
It's going down.
The more you look at it, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, but we haven't spent anywhere close to that at this point, so we're not in danger, we're not in legal jeopardy, right? I'm just saying, that's the official budget. Okay? So, all right, where else? Is there anything else we need to walk our way through there? Storm sewer, I just level funded it at 22.5. I think that's where we're gonna be roughly at. I talked to you about street cleaning.
22, what was it?
Oh, sorry, I skipped sidewalks in my 757. 22,500. So for sidewalks, I put 5,000, and I probably should pull all that out of there and make it zero in our general fund, because my intention is to use the coal severance money to pay for sidewalk work. And I think, yeah, roughly we get about $10,000 a year in coal severance. So that's what we kind of did last year. We paid for $3,000 for the rail trail study, out of coal severance, we budgeted for it. And then the remainder balance was budgeted for sidewalk work. But we need to talk about policy wise, how we're gonna tackle sidewalks.
Lively Park,
I think
around
it's-
Lively Park is our
I think
sidewalk.
city-owned
Right.
sidewalks probably should have our first preference, because
Yeah.
they
Just that
belong to
example,
us.
Right.
Don't disagree necessarily. So, and I just think of policy, when I got into this code, our ordinance for sidewalks from 1919, that's what it's in our 72 code. So I think having a healthy discussion and bring ourselves into the 21st century, understand what we want to do there, I think it's something we need to do too, okay?
We still will allow someone to park a horse on
That's exactly right. Put your hitching post right there. 802 recycling center, so that.
Except they may do that. That's true, yeah.
802, the recycling center, that's recycling center is something we don't budget for. That's in my mind is where we move all our
Right,
stuff over
right,
there. I wanted to put some flowers around the fence, and I think we've got some trip hazards there where they saw cut the asphalt, so we need to pull that stuff out and probably build some ramps and stuff there to make sure that we don't get in trouble for that. So that's money for finishing touches for that.
Good thinking.
Yeah, and then, you probably want to have some kind of ongoing cost there in the future. Let's talk about that for a second. Do you guys see a need for, people to be able to take yard waste to, or take, like I see a lot of old masonry blocks laying in the creek, old bricks, like where do you take that stuff to?
What about
As-
this?
as
Did
a
we not
citizen?
take it during spring cleanup?
I don't think it's even
Not
allowed at
bricks
this
and
point,
stuff.
yeah. One thought I've had is, what if we made the old sanitary ground, a section of it over there, a place where we could open it up maybe for 4 hours, like on a Saturday morning from 8 to 12. Let people bring yard waste from their pickup truck, or let people bring, masonry blocks or scrap metal. You sit there and say, well, everybody's gonna take it to Jerry Stouts, but you'd be surprised, I think. When I was in Vermont, people would bring it to the dump and throw it away for free, just to save them the
What
trouble.
would we do with it
That's
once
my
we,
question.
Well, I think the yard waste, we could, rent a chipper. I thought about applying for a REAP grant to get a piece of equipment to chip the stuff up. Or even burn it, just be a place where we could do a controlled burn and keep that to a minimum. The block and stuff, as long as it doesn't have reinforcement, we had one contractor reach out to us and said, hey, if you guys, when we're tearing these houses, you want to put that block inside, it's fine. We've got this big machine, we'll bring in and crush all that stuff for you and let you have it, or sell it as fill material, or whatever you want to do. So that's kind of my thoughts. It's a service we could offer. It's something we could let build up to a certain point, right? If we want to hire somebody to come in and crush all the block for us, and then we have some.
We could use that for trail base, couldn't we?
Yeah, anything, right? And if we wanted to sell it by the dump truck load for people to fill in their garage, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, right?
So where would this be located?
In Deanville back with
Oh,
old
the old
sanitary plant,
sanitary.
yeah.
I guess it's something to consider.
So we're gonna look at it a little bit more. We haven't got that far, but I just wanted to pitch that idea to you all and see what you thought and see if there'd be a need. Yeah, it's something new. We could sell, you could make a little bit of revenue if we sell like a pass, so you don't have people from out of the city coming in, and sell them a little pass and say, $10 a year, you can dump whatever you want
Just
there.
gonna monitor it though.
Well, I think if we did, we'd have strict hours when it would be open, like on Saturday, maybe we'd use a street department employee to give them off Friday afternoon, let them come in on Saturday morning or something like that to come in and do that kind of thing.
I
So
don't know where, is this located in a residential? I've never seen this, but property, is it in a residential?
It's bordered by the river.
It's in the county,
Two
sure.
sides.
I'm in our, I mean,
It's in the
it's not in
county.
the city.
That's why we need to dump all of our debris.
it's not zoned out there, so we're good.
Yeah, county doesn't have that.
That's a thought. I mean, it's not, I think about it and we can talk about some more, but I think we're going to try to get in that. We see a need there. I think, and even speaking with Mr. Darby, we've got this roll-off dumpster now. Is there a way we can offer for people who have code violations, right? A lot of them don't have trucks and stuff, and that's why their trash builds up and things. Can we offer our roll-off and say, hey, you guys pay us up front, we'll drop our roll-off up, we'll come haul it off for you if you clean up your property, right? I think we're working on that a little bit, putting some numbers together. So we'll see, but we're trying to be a little bit more aggressive, I guess, or cutting edge, is that the right word there? And offer that to the citizens. So, okay, storm sewer 805, that, like I said, level funded. Parks and Rec, this is where the city manager put his pick in.
Where are we?
900 on the overview, but in the back, it should be towards the back of your last page.
Yeah.
Codes there, Parks and Rec.
I got it.
Get your whips out.
I got it.
Last year, I called a company that brought synthetic ice skating rinks in. And I got a price for rough, it was a little bit under $15,000 to have synthetic rink here for 30 days. That was the quotation. And my thought was, when we put up our big tree out in front, what if we blocked off our parking lot and offered ice skating to the public? They provide the skates and things of all that nature. We don't have to do that, but I put $15,000 in Parks and Rec because I would like for us to, one, start making some investments in parks. And also, two, I think around that Christmas tree thing, if we need to find something, in my opinion, to make it a little bit more festive for our downtown in conjunction with the lights and things of that nature. If we could bring something in somewhere, an ice skating rink or whatever, that was my intention. So when you're looking to cut, that's probably the first thing that's gonna get cut, and I'm fine with it, but I wanted to throw that idea out there as something that I think potentially could be an opportunity for us, I guess. Okay?
Along those lines,
Sure.
the municipal parking lot area. I think that if we use that area, first of all, it needs rock. We just clean it up a bit, paint the bumpers or whatever. We had talked about getting power to that and getting food trucks down there
Which one are you talking about? Over here or here?
across the street,
This one?
across the street, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And you had talked about, actually, it was your idea to have food trucks over there. And then we talked, which I've been doing a little bit of research. And if we build it, I think they'll come. I think there's money to be made, just with office. Huh?
Go ahead, I'm just picking on you. I said, I've seen the movie.
No, I think it's a great idea. And actually, food trucks can be utilized year round.
Yeah.
So to build off of your, to do something around that tree, I know it's across the street, but still, we could do the tree across the street. I don't know.
I'm all for it. I just was trying to carve out some money to do something, right?
Sure,
And
I
So the ice
understand.
arena on down sport.
Huh?
I was looking at some, I was like, where'd we get this guy? Ice
Yeah,
arena.
Yeah,
down
ice
here.
rink rental.
Not responsible for accidents.
I'm jumping way down. I'm just
Okay.
picking that
Okay.
shit. Said
Well,
ice arena or something down
But
there.
anyways,
Right next to
I
that
would like,
tombstone, it says city manager.
and also in preparation for the barbecue bash too, to
Yeah.
get some power
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
And get that straightened up. But I think we could have food trucks this summer
Okay.
over there.
Not a bad idea.
And, you know, to enhance your idea of moving people downtown. And also, I think people would learn to walk instead of the idea of parking and stepping right inside of a building. To walk our downtown, it might encourage that.
Maybe we need that funding for
Yeah.
planning out properly the lighting and
Yeah.
what we need over there. And we talked about a riverfront design and redoing
Yeah.
what was proposed, so.
That's, with the ARPA money, I think, let's, my opinion, I give you my list, right, and it's up for debate, and I'm fine with that, but I think that that's one of those projects that we've all talked about ad nauseum, right? I mean, as soon as I get to the budget, I'm willing to put together an RFP, let's get that out and just start working on that master plan, that place. I share your enthusiasm, I think the mayor's kind of speaking to, maybe we should plan it out before we build the infrastructure, right, to make sure it fits. what we're
Yeah, I mean,
looking
I
at.
don't want to take forever and a day,
Yeah.
but it's better to do a little bit of planning rather than to go ahead and get that in there and then decide that doesn't fit in the overall scheme and we
Right.
need to move it.
Well, another thing you need to do too is, like some of your local vendors that's been coming in, you need to find out what type of electric they need, whether they need 220, 110, or what they're actually needing. You know, so.
And maybe it's something we could just drop a temporary service, right, for a time
And
period. or
and it
just
can
have
be, well,
something
they've done it
together.
over here at Tallow, and you could drop that temporary service in, but you just need to know
Yeah.
what
maybe
kind of
we could
service
do
they
that.
need, where's 110, 220, or whatever.
It would certainly get people accustomed to going over there.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could incorporate Randy's boat. What is that?
His boat launch.
Kayaks.
Launch. Yeah, over there. In that.
And if
plan.
we ever find our stage, we can put music there.
Yeah.
I think the state's at the street department.
They think, yeah, they think
Oh, you have
it's there.
stage?
All right, I'm not.
We're on a budget.
Oh, yeah.
Hands back on it.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing this back.
Drop your gavel, Randy.
Oh, there's one other thing as far as revitalizing that downtown. That's what-
Okay.
I think, no, Nate, you was speaking earlier where we get started again about the comprehensive plan. I think at some point you and I have discussed that comprehensive plan, maybe forming a committee or something for it.
The planning commission's tasked with the comprehensive plan. So
Do
that,
they work with it much at all?
well, they're trying to, I guess is the right word. And
Yeah.
they're in the process, they've got to update it here in the next year and a half roughly. And so,
Anyway, just in 5 seconds, what I was getting at is just maybe get some of the downtown business owners with them involved with it, coming up with ideas as far as revitalizing the downtown. Because we keep sticking to walking downtown and doing these things, but it's not allowed
And
downtown, but.
The
furniture.
planning commission, as they move through that process, they're supposed to have X number of public meetings and they will include the business.
That's good. I was just curious of that.
sorry, Herman, did a very good job explaining that.
That's
No,
fine.
sorry.
Okay, just back to the overview here. So that was Parks and Rec, beautification, there it is, 950 Cherry for there. Cemeteries, 952 and a portion of that, whatever they have, just as a reminder.
Where are we again?
I'm back at the overview of the expenditures.
Back at the back?
Yep.
Okay.
952 cemeteries. So I've been leaning on the cemetery board whenever we make an accounting of the year and we say, well, we spent $12,000 mowing, and we ask how much, how much did the accounts, the trust produce interest wise. I've been requesting all that money for the interest to be able to take care of the tasks. And I guess just to put a kind of the cap on it all, street transportation and culture and recreation. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're there now,
You there?
We back to the other end?
We're back to here.
down here.
Yeah, at the very end there. Okay, so there's 90,000 I stuck there to cover our mid-avenue, if that for some reason doesn't get done this year. And 979 culture and recreation, I know we've got a ton of things like, the Columbia Club and other grants and stuff that come through. I stuck that money there, it's just a rollover. And essentially those two numbers are placeholders, right? So if we really got in a jam in this budget, we spent everything we had planned to spend, those are monies there that have, for lack of a better word, sitting there to be cannibalized if necessary, okay? So, and I think we need, you know, from an operational standpoint, you gotta have money to be able to pay, pay payroll and things of that nature, you know, to manage cash flow. And so you've gotta have, to me, those are kind of your, we've got 150,000 there just sitting there. That kind of keeps our balance healthy enough for all these activities to be able to cover those day-to-day costs. So, no, that was a lot. And I said, still got some work to do cleaning up and checking my numbers and things of that nature, but that's where the priorities are for me right now.
So once you get a chance to digest this information, if you have questions or concerns, you really should pick up the phone or send an email to Nate.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on to the next?
I think so. I think we just need to make sure next week we need to have a meeting to set the levy. Or not set the levy, or whatever it's called, approve the levy, or whatever it's called.
Lay the levy.
Or is that in April? One of those is.
I
Yeah,
have it down as in April.
yeah, but we gotta approve our budget, submit to the auditor, so they can approve it for it.
Okay,
And that has to be done by the 28th, so. we
all
gotta
right.
do that
Has to be done by the 28th of March.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
next Monday,
next Monday.
2 Mondays from now, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
next,
right.
yeah, so next week's our last, we need to meet and just approve it. Yeah. And if you've got any kind of further follow-up questions, we can address it that night.
Okay, next, under new business, purchase of the new city fire engine.
Still waiting back here, Jimmy?
I'm still here.
Have your seatbelt on?
I got it. So this has been, we've been working on this, even through the volunteers and all those for about 6 months. Finally got it narrowed down to these 3 companies. Got 3 different prices. Between myself and the volunteers, we recommend Pierce fire apparatus. It's the middle price wise, but it comes with more equipment. The Sutton truck is cheaper, but it doesn't have the equipment with it that Pierce does. And I have all the spec sheets and all the equipment here, if anybody'd like to see the whole thing. So, and this is going to replace the 1985 model truck that's over there now. It's got a pump and stuff on there, but it's not usable, so we have to it's classified as a hose truck, so it kind of hurts us on our ISO rating a little bit. And it's still an open cab on the back, so we haven't been letting people ride back there because it's kind of a safety issue. It's getting to the point we can't get parts for it. It's just, it's time for it to be replaced. So it's 40 years old.
We just auction those, Jimmy, or what do you do?
Most of the time, somebody gives us $2,000 for it, or some department. Gilmer County took the last 2 we've got rid of.
Did we donate it to them?
Usually, somebody needs it. But the time Pierce offers a prepayment option, which saves us $15,113. We go ahead and sign the contract and prepay for the truck before it's built. So it's gonna be about the same price as the Sutton truck.
Pay for the entire truck?
Um,
Sorry, the prepayment, what's that?
Pay for the entire, which we get a loan for.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
most of the time you don't pay the loan until the truck's delivered.
Yeah, sorry.
This is the first time.
I mean, I've been pretty stingy with my budget, trying to get it all figured out. I mean, I've saved a bunch of money in my budget this year, so I haven't spent, and something that we desperately need. Move the city forward, move us forward as far as safety issues.
I think it's a big factor when we were talking earlier about Walmart sitting in front of people,
Oh, yeah.
annexation, everything. The fire department and their equipment's one of the biggest factors and negotiation tool we can use.
And since we started on this truck till now, the truck's raised $27,000 in 6 months.
It
Price of
has?
the truck. And then its rate just took another 1/4% hike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're still locked in at the 4.25 through country roads leasing.
Well, that's good. Okay.
And I mean, we still pay on the ladder truck now, it's $27,000 a year, the new payment would be $44,000. I'll talk to Nate a little bit, I don't know if we can use that ARPA money, and just pay that ladder truck off, 71 grand, just be paid for it, be done with it, what the best option was, so
How much is it?
we have 71,000 in the ladder truck.
And these payments come out of your budget or?
Yes.
Ours?
Could that be an allowable expense since we've already had that encumbered expense?
I mentioned that to him. I have to find out.
Okay.
It was like pensions, you couldn't bail out your pension and
Right.
certain kind of debts and stuff they were allowed.
Yeah.
use it.
For 15,000.
I mean, and Jimmy, we'll look into that ARPA, and I'll try to get an answer for you. I mean, I think.
I mean, it's still, I've still got the money in the budget. I mean,
Yeah.
There's almost $50,000 in the budget this year that I haven't spent. So, I mean, I've been trying to be, I do keep an eye on what I do spend. I mean, I tell Nate, our electric
Oh,
bill.
thank you.
I was blind, I come into it blind, didn't
Oh,
know
we're having
even where to start with the budget.
Oh, we have green.
We kind of got it pretty close. I'm taking whatever my electric budget, that's the only budget that I went over. So
So right now, you're just looking for approval and then.
to move forward with the truck, because
Right.
they still got to sign the contract, still got to get the financing and all that stuff squared away. But Country Roads Leasing come up with the 4.25 for 20 years.
Okay.
And the volunteers are also going to replace a 20-year-old truck too, so we're going to try to get both trucks at the same time is the goal.
Is that your recommendation, Nate?
I'm on board with it.
Okay.
I hate to spend money, but we need it, you know, like you said, it's 15 years. We bought a new truck in 2000 and the one that we're replacing is 85, so there's 15 years in between those two purchases. Now we're 22 years from the last engine. We need to have two, you know, one being used in reserve. And so I think in a 20-year term, I wish we could pay it off sooner. I think what we're really thinking is we're going to lock ourselves into the lowest payment we can,
Right.
protect ourselves. But from what we understand with leasing, there's no early payment penalty. So if we decide inflation happens, in 20 years from now, $5 is one, we could maybe get away and pay it off sooner.
So the
So,
payment doesn't start till a year after we sign for it.
Right.
too, so.
Plus, you know, Patrick may come through with some.
Yeah.
funding for you.
who knows what will happen.
And he's good. I want to talk to him about if we've already purchased a truck. He said, as long as we don't have the delivery of the truck, we're good. So we got a year for Patrick.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I'm fine with it.
Yes, it appears, right?
Did you get a chance to talk to Jeff again to make sure to confirm that
Yep.
we could, this is we can't encumber a future council, right? So these lease agreements are set up so essentially if we can't pay the bill, they'll come take our fire truck.
Right.
And repossess it. And
Okay.
so,
All right,
I move that we purchase a new city fire engine from Pierce at a total of 500, what, are we gonna deduct the 15?
my goal or recommendation would be to just go for the 578,804 to 45,000. We take the 15,000 that we're going to get back.
That's their quoted price, so
Okay.
the five
For the-
seven.
All right, all right.
Then we use the 15,000
We'll
for
just-
the equipment.
for the quoted price.
For the quoted price of $578,804.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilman Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gump,
Yes.
Councilman Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, reconsideration of Columbia Club demolition bid.
Andy, you want to?
Yeah, so Reclaim, after you guys at the last meeting awarded the bid, they contacted us next day, wanted to come out and take a look. They've got an estimator and a project manager. The estimator gave us the price. And the project manager came out and he started talking about tearing it down with an excavator, and he couldn't be here for 45 days. So whenever he got here and he started talking about with an excavator, we informed him that we had requested it be tore down by hand because, because it's a delicate building and that's what the architect recommends. So we didn't end up tearing up the rest of it. So once we told him that, he informed us that he couldn't do it for $24,000. So we went back to the drawing board and we talked to Twisted Creation, which was our next high, the two lowest was Twisted Creations and Fresh Coat out of Lost Creek. Twisted Creation, he can't be here for quite some time either. So our next guy that we had thrown his bid out before that last meeting, because he didn't throw out his bid correctly. We renegotiated with him and he's wanting $20,000 is what he agreed to do it for, which ends up being $4,000 less than Reclaim was. And he can start essentially Monday of this next week.
Who is this person?
His name's Ron Hamrick. With Fresh Coat LLC out of Lost Creek.
Fresh Coat?
Yeah.
So the guy that was gonna do the
Yes.
Columbia Club?
Hmm?
You said the guy that was gonna do the Columbia Club didn't wanna work with us, right? Is this the same guy?
I don't know who we're talking about. Previously, I mean, Reclaim didn't want to do
Reclaim.
it. They don't want to do it anymore.
Why?
Because they couldn't do it for $24,000 by hand.
Yeah.
They wanted, the $24,000 cost was coming in here with an excavator and ripping it off the front.
And we stated in our bid.
We stated in our bid that it had to be tore down by hand, and his price was going to almost double. So our options are, that we've got bids from, you've got this guy that can come on Monday for $20,000. Another guy that can come at a reasonable time, and he's at $36,000. And that's the next lowest, is at 36,000.
What's the lowest?
20.
20.
Oh, that's the lowest of all of them.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, that was it, that we threw it, the low bid originally, he filled it out wrong, and we threw it out. Because he said something, he put his quoted price down, but then he had see my contract and wanted a deposit and all this other stuff, so we said, just for the sake of bidding, we threw that thing out, so there wasn't any confusion. And then the second guy, he couldn't commit to even getting the work done in a reasonable amount of time, so we threw him out, and that's why we went with Reclaim, because they were the biggest firm in West Virginia for demolition. But like Mr. Garvin said.
Do
we
you
should-
have a signed statement from them stating that they cannot do it for the bid price?
We reached out twice. He stated he was going to send it, it's not came yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we need some kind of a paper trail on this because we've gotten in a little bit of a debacle before on bids and stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Our bid forms, we reserve the right to negotiate, reject any and all bids, we've got, I think we've tried to do our due diligence here and give everybody a fair shot. Mr. Darby said, our next lowest bid was 36,000.
Right.
He didn't sign the bid form either. So, we were up to 50,000, I think was the next lowest. So at that point, we just said, let's cut our losses and try to negotiate with this low guy. And he's really eager to do the work.
What is the will of council? Is there, are you wanting to take action on bid from Fresh Coat LLC for 20,000?
We don't, where's the contractor information?
Send your bid back.
I'm sorry, I didn't see this.
So we do not have it in writing yet that the other group backed out, right? We just have verbal.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement of that.
Yeah.
Does that stand up in court?
We're meeting next week.
You're still muted, David, muted.
You're on mute, Brian.
There, how's that?
Maybe I've
Is that
got you too. Hold on a second. I think I turned this down. Feedback. Try it now.
Is that better?
We can't hear the words coming out of your mouth. With Russian.
I'll put a number underneath.
Right now, Brad.
Is that better?
I don't know what's going on.
Then give us a
Sorry.
call.
We haven't signed a contract with them. Yeah, they submitted their bid. They haven't signed it. We haven't signed anything to give it, even though we awarded it. So I think in my mind, council, we're just saying, no, we're gonna retract that. And they've told us that they're not willing to. So,
Yeah, okay. And you guys, I'm sure, are going to document that very
yeah,
well.
we'll follow up with them and try to get that finalized, close the loop. But
We
he was very strong and indicative to me what he thought about doing the work.
But if we voted, we'd have to rescind
doing,
our vote on that previous contractor that we done voted on to do the job. I would assume officially we need to rescind that motion.
I guess we don't have Mr. Bailey to tell us what.
Someone
Call him on your
call
phone.
Call on your phone.
You guys
put him
know.
on speakerphone.
Am I supposed to be
Right now,
talking?
Brian. There you go. Now I can hear you. Operator error.
You got me?
Yep.
Okay. Now, as far as Reclaim goes, there's no contract. They just gave us an offer to do it for 24,000. And we approached them and said, okay, let's do it. And they withdrew that offer. So there's no meeting of the minds as far as a contract goes. Now, what was the next question?
I had a question, Brian, that we, as far as council, we done approved, we done voted, made a motion to approve. So to make it official, I thought maybe that we should rescind that motion as far as picking that contractor and making a motion on it, making it official, rescinding and doing a new motion.
I technically don't think we need to do that, but I don't think it would hurt anything.
If you guys, I don't know what you guys are thinking, if we should do
Just
it.
retract it in your motion. Make a motion to retract the offer to them and.
I don't even know who made the motion.
Would you like to make a motion to rescind the awarding of the Columbia Club demolition bid?
To reclaim LLC
Yeah,
and award to.
and award it to
Fresh Coat
Ron
LLC.
Hamrick Fresh Coat LLC for $20,000.
Who was the contractor at 218 Court?
Reclaim.
And why would he wouldn't do that? And he wouldn't do, so basically, he wouldn't do the Columbia Club because he said that it wasn't enough.
To do it the proper way. He will still come in here and do it with an excavator,
Yeah.
but where everybody else that has come and looked, we've told them, and in our bid specifications, specified it had to be done by hand. So therefore, if we had him do it with an excavator, then it would be unfair to everybody else that bid based on doing it by hand.
Right. Do you want to rebid it?
No.
Okay.
We'll see if
Throw it
it's
out
necessary.
there.
I think it's all time sensitive because of the phase 1 of the grant. We really need to get moving. So is it the will and pleasure of this group to rescind the awarded bid to whoever that was again?
Reclaim LLC.
Reclaim LLC.
Yes, and award that to Ron Hamrick with Fresh Coat LLC for $20,000.
Here's the sticky wicket.
Okay.
Really have a lot of people on us about 218 Court.
I think you need to view them as two separate issues.
They are, but we can't say that, well, we spent this on the budget. And I mean, people just don't accept that. We spent this on the budget and you're doing this to the Columbia Club instead of taking that house down. And their priorities are different.
I think you've got half the money tied up with a grant for a Columbia Club
Yeah,
that we don't have and that we've already budgeted
council
for.
already committed to doing this, so
Right.
I think that's the difference.
Can we do both? Can we get that house down?
Well, right now we have legal authority to go and tear down a Columbia Club. We don't have that with 218 Court at this point.
But we will have.
We're working on it, yeah. We're hoping to, yeah. I think in 20 days we should be able to do it, but we don't have that at this point.
Okay.
20 days sounds good to me. They do it in every other town around
They
us,
do.
so.
They do.
And if we need more, and nothing against Brian, but if we need to pull in another attorney to help us to get it down, since it's a concern of the citizens, and we've done voted on it being a safety issue, then maybe we need to pull in somebody else.
Can we please focus on Columbia Club? And either take action or not?
I'm just waiting on to get back to where we're supposed to be.
That's where we are. Where we're supposed to be, where we're supposed to be.
This item right there.
Yeah.
Columbia Club.
That's where we are.
I know.
We're back.
I'm here.
If we don't complete our phase 1, then we will lose the grant monies that we applied for.
Okay, I'll move to accept the rescind my previous motion and to move forward with for $20,000 with Fresh Coat LLC.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and second to rescind the awarding of the bid to Reclaim
Yes, LLC
and awarded to Fresh Code LLC in the amount of 20,000. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Judy?
Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilman Bowen,
No.
Councilwoman Duff,
Yes.
Councilman Curtis.
Five seconds.
Okay.
Just a little ill feelings here, but I'm trying to be professional about this.
Let's just get through the vote.
Yes.
Okay, and the record reflects 3 assenting and Councilman Bowen dissenting, so motion carries.
Can I ask what the ill feelings are? I mean, I'm
No,
not
just
like,
what's the 218 and.
oh,
Just where, just where priorities at, but I'm all right.
I think they're trying, but they want to keep us out of legal.
That's what I'm saying. I'm all right.
You
I'm
can
just-
tell us that it would make us feel a lot better, you know?
we're moving as quickly as possible as the legal process allows us to, right?
Is it your priority though? Is it a priority
I've
for
got
you?
6 departments I have to manage here, and so it's got the same attention that all the rest of the departments have.
Well,
And
I
I've got a building code official who's working on it, so yes, it's our priority.
And I think we're off, think we're getting off topic of the agenda.
That's all we wanted.
Thank
City
you,
manager
Mr. Bailey.
For another day then.
Yes,
For
it is
another
the
day.
city manager's fault. Next, hiring of street department temps.
Yeah, that was requested to be on the agenda. I mean, it's in process, right? I think you're balancing when we're hiring temps. We want them to be here, working with our guys 40 hours a week. And so it leaves you a maximum of 6 months of full-time work. So I'm trying to thread that needle of having them here for the right month, at the right time period, also within the budget to make that work for us as well. So it is a priority, as you've seen in my, in the proposed budget, that we want to have those temps, and so we'll hire those once we get to that level. We need to do that, so.
Can we have that as an action item next time, so we can go ahead and get you approved, so you can get started on the process?
I'm not-
It takes a while.
Well, I'm not necessarily ready to do it, I guess, and if I get to it in the next month, I'll bring it to council's attention, but that's where I'm at with it, and I think from an administration standpoint, that's my call to make, honestly.
Why are you not ready? I mean, it's like April, it's gonna be April.
I'm just
And
not
then
ready.
in a
I
month,
haven't even,
it'll be
I haven't
May.
even examined that budget to even look at it, and I'm trying to get this budget done,
Right, how long is it going to take?
as long as it takes me. That's how long it will take me.
I wasn't finished.
Okay,
How long is it gonna take to advertise for the positions?
a minimum of 2 weeks, right? That's where I'm at with it. And so, I mean, I'm shooting for May, into May, in my mind. But I'll be very honest with you. I'm the city manager. I don't appreciate being hassled about how I'm administering, and setting my priorities. And yeah, we come here and we had a whole list of items to get through tonight. We didn't need to talk about this tonight, honestly. And I, like I said, it's my purview, I think. If we need those people and I feel that we need them, I'll bring it to council's attention when I feel that those are needed. And I don't like being forced into making these moves. Okay?
I wasn't
What's your
forcing you.
thoughts on it, Tony?
My thoughts on it is that if I'm allowed to speak on this, on that would be, I myself.
I didn't mean this to get you now. I was just wondering-
And I'm not mad about this, but
Yeah.
there's a chain of command, right?
Yeah.
And we have to recognize what that chain of command is. I mean, and Mike, you feel free to give whatever answer you want. It's not gonna be penalized for it, but I mean, this is totally inappropriate at this point.
Well, I'd like to communicate with everybody. It's not to
Sure.
make a decision.
Well,
And
the
when we're all-
communication's right here.
I know, but we're all sitting here together.
And there's no action item. We're gaining information.
Sure,
And
but
if you want to talk about chain of command,
please,
I don't think I'm out of line asking for that to be on because of the time of the year that it is. I don't think I'm out of line at all. I thought it was extended, an invitation was extended to council to you have any requests for agenda items? I'm not bullying you at all.
Well, I do feel that way about it. That's what I'm saying. And I'm giving you feedback on that. in the
Okay.
forum.
And that's what I was wanting to speak back.
But, and you
Just in
can't-
this open discussion, not to make a decision, Nate, just put your arrogance aside for a minute. Mike, what's your thoughts?
On the temps, I feel that if we had one temp and one full-time employee, and what I would like to do, and I know everybody's thinking about the one full-time employee, but let me tell you where I'm at. And I've discussed this with Nick. And we've discussed it with some other departments, but I think I could take a full-time employee, I could put them on as a mechanic and labor, and save you guys money on your mechanical work, which we're gonna look at. I had the dump truck worked on, it was $299 for a water vat pump. And that's what the materials was. It cost me $1,689 by the time I walked out the door. So I'm thinking, and Randy knows, if I got a guy over there that can do this kind of work, I could save him almost $1,000. And going back to the oil changes and stuff like through the city, through the police department, and also changing oil stuff in our stuff over there and changing everything we have. I can probably save you enough money, to at least pay for this person, half of this person's wages, that full-time person. And then temporary, you were talking about the temporary, I think we can use the temporary for moving from crew to crew. And then we can also, like, we pay people overtime to come in and water flowers and stuff like that. It's temporary. We don't have to pay overtime to come in and water flowers.
Right.
And that's basically, that's all I got to say.
Honestly, this is a conversation that the city manager and the department heads really should be having.
Where's it at? Did you have this
The
conversation with him?
City manager and the department heads, they're getting ready to talk about the budget. He didn't have a chance to meet with Mike today. I think it's perfectly fine that any council has the question about, needing street department temps, but
But when we're in an open discussion in a meeting, if someone's in here that I want to speak with, not to make a decision, but to speak with as we're having an open discussion, I'm going to talk to them.
and I think that's fine, but we don't need to get into the intricacies of every detail.
I didn't want no details. I just
Okay.
wanted his opinion, no details, just his opinion.
Okay.
It's always bad.
I don't want
It
it
is
to
a
be.
battle.
It is.
It's a battle to move forward. It took a year to get the windows in here. The paint's peeling off of the building. We didn't get our paving done because we were behind time. We didn't get our paving done or didn't get a street paved completely in his ward. It really is. And we're just trying to do best for our community and move forward. And sometimes, quite frankly,
And let me stop you there. Give me a call and talk to me about your feeling that we need those temporary workers. Don't send out an email blast to council and demand that it be put on the next.
I
budget.
wasn't demanding.
Well, that's how it comes
That was
across.
my,
That's how it
no,
comes across. It is.
I was not demanding. It comes across,
Not that it wasn't considered, because it was
it was
considered.
considered, but it's not exactly an action item.
No, it's not on here.
Right. But I wasn't being demanding at all.
Perception is a real thing, right? And I'm telling
It
you how I
is.
perceive it. And what stopped you from calling me and talking to me about that and saying, hey, I think we need to have this?
Simply because an email's quicker and we're all busy.
And you could have emailed me directly to
Honestly.
talk about that, but instead it was sent to everybody and said we put it on the agenda. And
Everybody's,
I don't want that kind of, I think that that's my purview as city manager to make those calls.
everybody else emails everybody else. I'm the one that gets called on it. Everybody else makes suggestions and hits,
And give me a
Reply
call,
all.
give me a call about it.
why are you calling me on it? Everybody else does the same thing.
And I don't appreciate it. I don't. And that's what I'm trying to make.
That's what we need to talk about here, what everybody doesn't appreciate, not just you.
Okay.
So,
What don't you appreciate about what I've done? I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and take our staff get beleaguered by saying we haven't gotten anything accomplished this year. I think we've gotten more accomplished than we've ever gotten accomplished as a team.
I'm just saying, a lot of
No,
times
I
we
think
feel
at
like
this
that
point,
thing.
we've got more than just the city manager upset, and I really don't like that.
you know. I feel we all should work together a little better than what we're doing. And we should look at all sides when we're talking about ideas and communicating with each other.
And I feel
You're
like
not always gonna be right. And I don't mean that in a
It's not about being right or
way.
wrong, Herb. I'm trying to give you, I'm trying to give you some honest feedback about where I stand as professional,
Right.
And I think I've been completely professional through this whole situation. I've put up with a lot, as far as letting you guys kind of dictate what we're doing as an administration. We've got to reel this thing in. We have 10,000 things we're working on right now as a staff. This place was a mess, and it's still got a lot of work to be done. And sometimes interview these guys. You have my permission to talk to anybody you want to talk to. People are beleaguered by the attitude of council towards us with this attitude. Well, what have you done for me lately? Or what are you guys doing? We're working hard.
I don't ask that.
Well, I'm giving you some feedback about how the impression is. I'm trying to be very honest with you. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to give you honest feedback. These are the conversations I'm having with staff. We're really working hard for you guys, okay? This is very stressful. This budget was a lot. I've been up till 1 o'clock every night this week working on this budget. And we should have had a discussion tonight. We had some things we had to get done, but there were some of these things that didn't have to get done, right? And that's every meeting. We're here for multiple hours a night discussing this stuff because we're trying to serve you and give you guys the best product we can. And that goes unacknowledged most of the time, to be very frank.
No, I don't think so, not most of the time.
Well, I'll be very honest. I mean, last meeting of City Hall, not one council person came by and said, hey, thanks, appreciate what you guys are doing when you guys walked out here. Not one person did that.
We thank you publicly. We thank employees
Wow.
publicly every time.
Well,
And I was upset a little bit
Well,
because of 218 and
Sure.
just sometimes, and I don't mean bad towards you guys, but I feel like it's a struggle with you and Brian. I mean, if it's something you guys don't agree with, we just slow down and take our time.
If I may jump in there, it's not that we disagree with you. There's laws we have to follow. And
That's
unfortunately,
right. But the attorneys and cities take care of this stuff in a reasonable amount of time.
But reality check, Herb.
I'm sorry. Let me speak one more. Let me say one more.
It's hard. Everybody we talk
Mr. Bailey wants
Sure.
to make a
Sorry,
comment.
Brian.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it's serving anybody any good to sit in here and have these squabbles. Now, if we don't like what the law is, waiting the 20 days, then we either need to get rid of the building code or do something else that is allowed to do that. That's allowed for us just to take a bulldozer anytime we want to and bulldoze something down. I don't think that's the appropriate way to go.
Sure.
Now,
I agree with that.
the law is the law, and if you want it different, you can certainly make it different. But what we're operating under right now is what we have to go with. And I don't, the city manager council squabble, I think that's just the nature of the beast. But I don't think it serves any good purpose having all this happen right now.
I disagree. I think that we need to air these things out. This needs to be on the table, don't you? Yeah. I mean, the last meeting, Herb, honestly, I'll give you some more feedback. 218 court. Just give me a phone call about it and we'll talk about it. Yeah, I know that there's some concern from council, but that wasn't even, I didn't even get a call about it before it was emergency.
And I usually try to call you about stuff.
You did,
but,
right, yeah. And so, I come.
I got you. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, yeah.
Everybody in here is working hard. They're
Yeah.
working hard for you, and we're trying to work for you. We're not trying to work against you. But
We just need to work together. I mean, it's about the citizens, not us. And I'm not saying that anyone's thinking it's about individually themselves, but I get caught up and I let my passions get in the way too sometimes.
Yeah, and we've seen things that it's like a slow crawl to get a lot of things done.
It is.
And it gets very frustrating. And I think that council loses our patience, and I'm sure that you guys do too. One of the things I've been most proud of is the fact that this council is intelligent and professional. So don't make me eat my words.
And passionate.
Yeah, passionate.
Yeah.
One thing I have been doing, and we've done it most weeks, I usually try to come over for an hour or so once a week and talk to Nate and to Brian. And it really has helped educate me. And I don't know, it's a good information sharing session. And I would encourage council members, because you are so passionate to do that and come up with ideas and
Yeah, great.
And it is better than an email, although that's quick. We're all busy people and sometimes that's all we can do.
And the reason why I include everyone is so there are not multiple questions and multiple emails. It's to save time.
Yeah, I get that too.
You think it's frustrating sitting here once every week or two and nothing, you don't think anything's getting done, half your days to the grindstone in here 50 to 80 hours a week and nothing's getting done and you're fighting to get stuff all the time. Just look at that from that perspective too. We come in here and want things done, this and this, and they're sitting there trying to get things done and it's moving as slow for them as it is for you all in your minds. They're here every day working. I mean, that's more than we've ever had before.
We have the most capable employees and professional people that I believe this city has ever had. And I tell citizens that all the time.
I mean, other than 5 or 6 people, I don't hear no complaints from nobody. I got called every name in the book the other day on the old Facebook over,
For what?
over nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
Okay.
I said, thank you.
If we're done on this subject and hopefully everyone is ready to move on.
I want to say one more thing, not because I'm mad, but I'm gonna go. Take pride, we've done a lot.
Yeah.
We've done a lot. I know you guys are frustrated. You want to see more progress. I knew as soon as we tore down those houses, I'm not Nostradamus, but people were gonna say, what have you done for me lately? Let's get the next one done, right? And that's a good thing, right? I tell people, I was telling in shopping site today, so I'm getting more phone calls than ever from people wanting stuff. And I said, that's a good thing because people call here because they expect something might get done for them if they call. Where I think in the past, there was some doubt whether anything would ever get done if they called up here, right? That's a badge of honor we can wear that we're busy because we're trying to serve people. And so we're not trying to slow walk anybody. And this is all new. I mean, look around the room. You got a new code official, you got a new street commissioner, you got a new city clerk, you got a new city manager. Everybody here doesn't have a whole lot of experience doing operating shifts like this. It's tough. And so everybody's doing the best. They're doing more than they should be expected, honestly, and they don't complain about it. And so I've got to defend them, right? And I've got to step up and ring our bell as loud as I can.
I don't, what I was saying was not.
And I got
Towards any employee.
No, I don't think it was.
No, that was an exchange between you and I. That was meant and directed solely at you, solely, yes, not anyone else.
That's fine, and we can talk about that further, I'm fine with that, but this staff has been very loyal to me, more than I deserve. And they see those things, right, they're copied on the emails, they see that, and I'm like,
Sure.
my gosh, man, look at what we've just done, and then this is what we get, right? And I'm just trying to give you some honest feedback about it, that let us do our jobs, right? Let us come up, and some people have some pride in coming up with the next solution, right, because that's my job, is to come out here and say, this is what I think we should do next. Not, operate off a to-do list all the time. I think it's frustrating for everybody. And so that's where I'm coming from. It's nothing personal, right? I'm just trying to give you something. Sure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to paving list.
You said on the email, I didn't think it was gonna be on here.
Well, I just want to give an opportunity to
Oh,
talk to the
no,
closing circle.
I just couldn't remember what they were.
And I never provided it to you. I mean, the paving list, just in case anybody else is listening still. Yeah.
They're probably all tuned in.
Yeah.
now.
Good rates. We were largely using the one from last year. We added some stuff in Ward 4. I pulled Water Street out. That was on the list last year, because I just think there's a whole lot of other host of issues there that we're gonna have to address, sidewalks and everything else before we do that. Plus the 4th Street.
Side of water.
I mean, from 2nd going up towards 4th, that we had that in there on the list last year. So I pulled that out
And I do.
and I added that section there.
Not to interrupt on that,
Yeah.
but I think when the new bridge is gonna start, I think that's gonna get a lot of traffic.
Okay, and I don't think it's not
So
necessarily.
down the road.
Yeah, it's not gone from the
Yeah,
scope,
but
right?
I'm
It's
just
just,
saying down the road, I think that's.
right, and this is recency bias, but you cut through where Bob Golden's is and come around to get to the middle school, right? That going up to the bridge, and even after the bridge is atrocious.
Oh,
It's a
it
moonscape, and so it's heavily trafficked.
I live over there, ain't allowed to phone.
Yeah.
Is
Sure,
it
Lord.
possible to share a list with us again for that? I've had some people asking me
What?
too, and I just
You can
don't
send it
know.
via email.
Everywhere else I've been, we posted it on the website, and I want to get to that
That's
point.
fine.
Right now, we just haven't even had a conversation with the paper to say, what are we doing? So I didn't want to post something out there
I
like 4th Street
understand.
Bridge, right? And say, this is what we're doing, and then things change. So,
Whatever
What if,
you can.
what if we did put in the kiosk up here on Main Street?
Yeah, we can, like I said, I'm not trying to hide it, but I'm also not prepared to.
Don't want to get people's hopes up.
Right, exactly right.
I understand that.
One other thing here, we didn't get a chance to mention it, but we're working with Department of Highways, trying to run some conduit across Center Street. So they're gonna be paving from River Ave down Second towards Center, right, Mike?
Right.
And then starting up at First and coming back towards Go Mart and going across. We've identified there in front of the courthouse, there's 2 old poles with nasty old street lights on it. We're gonna try to put the conduit in the ground, so in case the courthouse puts their sidewalk in, we can run conduit under that sidewalk to put the decorative lights in and set ourselves up.
I'm gonna come back up there,
Street department, go ahead.
Sherry, and let you know, Nate and I discussed this. I'm gonna come back up, probably talk with you guys on Monday or Tuesday. What is it, Tuesday? And just explain to them what we're trying to do. I think it's gonna benefit you guys. And we'd like for you guys up there to be a role model, saying you don't have no telephone poles and you got these lights up
Right.
here. And then that way we can bring this over on Main Street and say what Main Street could look like. Because actually, we're about, I'm gonna be honest with you, we could probably be 6 months, and we could have some more lighting on Main Street and do away with some poles.
Yeah,
Is that
I
in the-
agree.
Did we put that in the budget? Is that under beautification?
I think right now it's, yeah,
Yeah.
but perhaps. But we've got some money in there for today, but and maybe it's an option thing, you know, at the end of the day. But the conduit, we think we can get that in relatively cheaply. And we're gonna have to do this in bite-sized portions.
And
right?
there's a light out on Main Street.
Yeah, one of those ones, yep, saw that. We walked down with First Energy when we were talking about that project and looked at the service connections on Main. And so that looked a little bit more doable after that conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a very good meeting with them, I'll be honest with you. They were more willing to do what we were looking for.
Well, Sherry, thank you.
On this side.
Thanks for being the role model.
Before we adjourn, let me throw this out there too. You guys, you come in and speak with the employees here. Don't forget me, not me personally. Don't forget to come over and see my guys over there. Because they always, and they're gonna ask me every Monday or whatever this is after the meeting, they ask me what goes on. I tell them, because they need to know. So just come over and say hello to them. You know, seriously, drop in. And if you see them sitting around, you let me know. But seriously,
I will tell you, I've been out of this, you have been out, so when I go to
I'm
work,
gonna
you're
tell you,
out.
I'm gonna tell you, they are working. I will tell you this. And I'm not saying that they hadn't worked before, but we're doing very well over there. Seriously, we are. But we
Well,
are-
they did a heck of a job with the snow removal and I have several people, not just in my ward, and not just people who live in the city of Weston either. People who live out of the city of Weston, who come in to work in the city of Weston. We're most complimentary.
And the other thing, like I was just telling, if it's okay, I speak, that we were talking about this salt brine, you know, just like, for instance, Sunday, we come in at 5 o'clock just to make sure the roads is all good, even though the snow was off, but there was a little bit of ice. Man, you could have walked right around there and just run through the whole city with salt brine and you've been done. No, me and Billy come in on Sunday and we spent almost 3.5 hours checking every street. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn? You're done?
I'm done, yes.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I
Judy.
need to tell you, I want to go back to just office work. Don't want to be city clerk.
You do a wonderful job.
You do.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
We thank you. I wish we could have heard what you said, Judy. There was static in the room.
I'll write you a formal letter.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I was just-
Is that all you need right for that?
I'm awesome, yeah.
Listen, I was gonna say thank you. I'm not saying thank you because you said that. I was gonna say thank you before.
Or you can just, I just went out there and looked.
I mean, I'm not, honestly, I was building.
But it's being moved out and then we've got somebody.
Actually big enough for I could break it out.